Welcome to the Shots Pod, where we discuss all things Aldershot Town FC. I'm Lorent Flint. With me is Howard Flint, and really pleased to say our guest for today is Shots Head of Recruitment, Jamie Hedges. He's literally just pretty much run back from training. Takes him an hour and a half, so he's catching his breath. But Jamie, appreciate your hustle. How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Dad, we've just been talking about the fact that we love to grill our guests, and someone we really wanted on was Jamie. We've spoken about recruitment quite a bit, haven't we, already in these early episodes?
Yes, yeah. And we were saying, Leah, that we think you've all done a fantastic job in terms of this season. So it's all proof of the pudding, isn't it? The people you recruited in the summer, seems a long time ago now, has produced a really good season for the Shots.
No, it's going as we'd hoped. Probably, if I'm being honest, slightly ahead of schedule in terms of how we'd hoped. If I'm being brutally honest, I mean, I don't think we maybe thought we'd turn the ship around this quickly, if I'm being honest, because from when we took over, it was pretty bleak and needed a lot of fixing, if I'm being brutally honest. And we just we knew we needed to change a lot in terms of personnel. We wanted to change as much as possible, really. The ones we kept on because the manager believed he could work with them and they could fit into the way that he wanted to play. You know, you're Ollie Harfield, Ryan Glover, Jack Barham, trying to think who else at the top of my head. Tommy Willard obviously has played a big part. He's out on loan at the moment. There's been players, but a lot of it we knew we needed to change. We needed to change the culture of the club. We wanted people to enjoy coming into training, you know, and we needed to get some characters in the building that could, you know, help embody what we're about as staff. But also we needed to bring more quality in. Really, we needed to bring players that can win games and can that are at the level and can play above the level. And we think we hit on a lot of our signings, to be honest. So yeah.
Yeah.
Well done.
Yeah, you've done brilliantly, and we're definitely not the only ones that have noticed it. Just for those who are listening or watching, we did send out to get some supporter questions in for Jamie, and so many people were just saying you've done such a good job. They're almost interested to know how you've actually pulled it off. For a guy who's as young as you, obviously with your team, with Tommy, as you said, it's been actually above expectation, hasn't it? So I'm sure it's sunk in now, but it's been a bit of a riding the wave experience, hasn't it?
So Josh, for example, was on our radar for a long time. He was one we actually tried to bring in at Kings Lynn. So that unfortunately didn't go through, and it went through here. But Josh was one that come on our radar from, like, I read about a lot of under-21 players that try and not, you know, miss out on any trick for any under-21 player playing in non-league. Josh was flagged up really highly on, you know, goals, assists, and also played a lot of minutes for someone of his age, which was a key factor. We try and look at players that are playing a lot of their age and men's football. He got flagged up to us. I went and watched him. Tommy's watched him. I've tracked his progress every week, and I wouldn't leave Tommy alone, telling Josh has scored again. We need to go after him. You know what I mean? So he was one that we'd tracked for a while. He was, as soon as the season ended, he was the first person we went after, really. So it was we just had to tell him about our plans for the club and how we see him fitting in and how, you know, the general things like that. And if I'm being really honest, did I think Josh would have 16 goals and like this in January? Probably not. I thought he would do well. I honestly, he'd come in the very first training session, you could tell that, wow, this lad is good, you know, do you know what I mean? So, but I would be lying if I thought we'd have sold him by the first window that was open. Honestly, he's done unbelievably well. But with Lorent, like, he was one that's been on our radar for a while in terms of going back years. Like when we've been watching Brighton's under-23s, Tommy's watched him. I've watched him. Hugo's watched him. We've all been aware of Lorent, and he's had really good talent from a very young age. And even speaking to him today, he was telling me that, you know, he was keeping Evan Ferguson out of the Brighton team, who's in their first team now for a while. So he's had really good pedigree, and he's just sort of like had his path like blocked a little bit with loans that weren't quite right for him. and he's just not quite gone how he's hoped the last couple of years. And he just needed, to be honest, he needed games. He needed to go out somewhere, no matter what the level. That was the sell. We needed to sell him that dropping into the National League was the right move, which we thought was, because he needed to play games. He had the ability, but if you don't give someone the platform to play, then they're not going to be able to show what they're about. So we had to sell to his family really and himself that dropping to us was the right move. And I think it was the best thing he's ever did, to be honest, because he's just showing everybody what he's all about, and he's a supremely talented footballer that I think over the last couple of weeks especially has really, really like hit his top gear, and I think he's got more to come. But it will be out in 15 minutes, but he's just won the Player of the Month for the National League. So there's that. But there's obviously two that have caught the eye most, but I think it was just important for us that we added some sort of like people that could, like, Aaron Jones, who's one we know well. We know what he's all about. He's a 7 out of 10 every week. He's a really good character. Same with like people like Theo. We know what he's all about. He's a good character. He's good for what we want. So it was also important we added some experienced heads, like Stuart O'Keefe's been great for the dressing room. I know he's not had as much time on the pitch as we'd hoped, but since he's come back, he's starting to pick up his form now.
Yeah, sounds busy. Dad, who would you say is the best piece of recruitment in your mind? When you think about obviously all the names there that Jamie's just mentioned, who would you put right at the top?
I think obviously the goal scorers, Jamie, have made a big impact, haven't they? Lorent and Josh, of course. Jack Barham is showing his true colours. He's done really well. I'm really impressed. I mean, I've been incredibly impressed with Ollie Harfield since he joined the club the year before, before you and Tommy and co came in. And I think his switch to, middle of a back three, he's done really well. But I really love Cian Harris. He makes me laugh, actually, because he's so laid back on the ball. That left foot is so incredible, isn't it? He sort of he does a few shimmies from the back and then launches that from the left back position to the right wing position. Picking out Jack. I mean, that's a common tactic, isn't it? Jack trying to get down the side. But I just think he's such a talented player, and I was amazed that Swindon, it didn't work out at Swindon or indeed anywhere else he's been. Because on the ball, I don't know about personal things, but on the ball, he's exceptional, isn't he?
He was brilliant for us, to be honest, at Bristol Rovers in League One for the first, I'd say, like 6 to 9 months. And then changes happened with behind-the-scenes staff managers, and it sort of halted his progress. He went to Swindon and he tore his hamstring, so he was out for about six months. So sort of ruined his time at Swindon. So we knew when we got Cian, we had a bit of a coup with somebody who's better than the level. We feel that on his day, if he's playing and he's happy, and his ability is very good. As you said, he's on the ball. He's calm. He's a really, really good defender when he can be. And he's been in the middle of the back three. You can see the whole game ahead of him, and I think it suits him really well. He can just play. But as you said about Ollie Harfield as well, really consistent. I think he's been a 7, 8 out of 10 every game all season. You know what you're going to get from Ollie, and he's a really steady, consistent player.
Yeah, Jamie, I hope you're not telling all these guys that they're too good for the level, though, because we want them to stay. So don't big them up too much.
They're loving it. The place is really happy at the moment. I've obviously been in today. The quality of training has been really good. All the players are buzzing. I think we've got at the moment 16, 17, 18 players that you could pick. Tommy could pick any of the 11, and I'd be confident that we'd have a good starting 11 out. Do you know what I mean? So I think we've got some really good depth. We've got some really good competition for places that if anyone's not on their game, then somebody else will be in and trying to grab the shirt. So I think we're in a good place at the moment. I think since the Kidderminster game when we were 2-0 up, lost 4-2, and we had a bit of a wobble, I think we bounced back really well, and we've gone 4 unbeaten against 4 pretty decent sides and 2 wins, 2 draws. And I think the performances have been really good in all 4 games, and that I think we probably warranted to win 1 or 2 of the games we drew. So I think we're in a good place. The group is really happy, and I think we've got more to come in the last 15 games, I think.
Yeah, I think we'd agree. That's what we're seeing as fans. So obviously great to hear that it's been reflected from the mood in the camp as well. But Jamie, I was just giggling a minute ago because I was thinking about some of the questions that got sent in for you. And
Yeah.
so many people are thinking, how is this guy where he is? He's obviously had a great recruitment season. He's not even mid-20s yet. And lots of people just simply wanted to know, how did you get into recruitment in the first place? How did you kind of pal up with Tommy? In my mind, it was you playing Football Manager from the age of like 6 through to 20. But I mean, how did you get into recruitment and get to where you are at 23?
Well, yeah, I did play a lot of Football Manager, but that's not got anything really to do with it. But well, I was a massive Bristol Rovers fan since I've been since a little kid. Really, I've had a season ticket since I was, well, I don't anymore, but since I was like 3 or 4 years old, my parents like took me to Bristol Rovers. So I've been a really big fan. When I was probably 16, 17, I didn't miss a game home and away for like 2 seasons. So I was a really big fan, and the owner at Bristol Rovers used to speak to me quite a lot just at games. He was quite a vocal guy. He used to go in away ends and that, and I used to speak to him a lot about football, and he was just really impressed with my like knowledge of the game, really, to be honest. And I used to speak to him a bit over social media and things like that. And it was pretty bizarre, but he wanted me to have some sort of like input in scouting in Bristol Rovers, just based off like our chats that we had and who I like on my knowledge of the EFL and below and everything like that. Really, he was pretty mind blown by it all. So he wanted me to. He just said, "Do you have any interest in like scouting or anything like that?" And I said, "Well, I'd love to, really. You know what I mean? That's like everyone's dream, really. It's my age." He put me in to speak to the CEO. I did like an interview, basically, just to be a regional scout, just somebody in Bristol who would watch games, really. I did an interview with the CEO, and it went well. He was happy, so he linked me up to Tommy. So I went and met Tommy, and we had a few chats. And again, he seemed to like what he saw, so he sent me to do a couple of games just as like a trial thing. And I did a couple of games for Tommy. He was at Bristol Rovers, obviously, at this point, and it just went from there, really. It was fairly at the back end of that season, so probably like February, March time. So I did the back end of that season, like just voluntary, doing bits and bobs. And then they obviously liked what my work was, so they took me on full time at the end of that season. I went on as a full time, I was the recruitment analyst, so I did a lot of the data side of things at League One. And I was full time. I went in the training ground like every day, and had like an impact and my say on signings at the football club at that time. I wasn't like a prominent figure, but I was full time, and I recommended players and watched players, and so it was good at Bristol Rovers. I really enjoyed my initial time, and things turned a little bit sour at the end. But I built up a really good relationship with Tommy. He off the side of work, we got on really well, so he was like, since then he was really like happy with my work and me as a person. That when he moved to Kings Lynn, we stayed in touch, and he offered for me to come with him to Kings Lynn and be his head of recruitment. So obviously I was working remote because Kings Lynn's absolutely miles away from Bristol. But so I did the signings with Tommy at Kings Lynn, and we had a really successful season. So like I said, we got on really well away from work, and we just built up a good relationship, and he trusted my opinion on what I was recommending to him. So obviously we did well at Kings Lynn, and Tommy got offered to move to Aldershot. And same again, he wanted me to come with him and head up the recruitment at Aldershot. So I obviously moved in the summer, and we got straight to work, and here we are now, really. I mean, it's a pretty unique process. As I said, I didn't really have any sort of, university qualification. Since I've got into the game, I've done some courses on scouting, and I've sort of tried to build up my knowledge of it even more now that I'm in it. But I've always really thought that, I've always played football, but I'm never going to make it pro or anything. I'm just bang average and everything. But I've always really thought that I've had like a pretty good way. I think I've got a pretty good eye for a player. Like I've always thought it, and people have told me that. And I've just backed my decisions. To be honest, every time I go and watch a game, and if I think somebody's good enough for us, I'll put my neck on the line and say that I think we should sign him, and I back my opinion, and I know Tommy and all the staff do as well.
So I think the recruitment last summer the first part of the season was fantastic and has been incredibly successful. And you ought to really take a lot of credit. I know it's a team, Hugo and yourself, along with Tommy. But I really think you've done fantastically well. And what interests us was when we were talking about it was there a policy? The previous manager left, as you know. Some of the players remained. You kept on the Ollies of this world and Ryan Glover and co. Was there a policy that you had with Tommy, a sort of headline policy as the sort of player you wanted, and then you were set off to look for them? Or did you already know?
We never had a policy from the chairman saying like we had to do this, or we have to do this. He's been brilliant the whole way through and really supportive of what we've asked for. But me and Tommy have really got a really good feeling in general, just about we feel that there's a lot of young players that get kicked out of academies, and not through, I don't think, ability or talent or anything like that. There's always a blockage of players. There's so many players and things like that they just feel us down. And we think that there's a lot of players that hit the age of probably like Ryan's Ollies that have come out of academies. They're now 23, 24, 25 that are really ready to play 40 games a season now. And we feel that sort of age is like a sweet spot for players at the moment that can really kick on. So there was obviously we definitely had an idea to go younger. We wanted to have a young team. We want to be a front foot attacking team. We don't want to. Every player in our team has to be comfortable on the ball. They need to be able to run. We need legs. Do you know what I mean? We don't want to be a team that camps behind the ball and plays on the break. We want to be a progressive attacking team. That's how the manager wants to play. So, but yeah, there was an idea to go younger. We obviously feel if you're going to use the chairman's money, we need to have embedded assets that can make him money. So obviously, we want to have people that can play with us, do well, increase their value and be sold on. That's how football clubs at our level really need to run, because it's not, you can't just run off, in my opinion, a team full of 30-year-olds that are just going to tick along. You need to have a future vision of how you can see things looking. So as much as like we're doing well now, planning's already started for next season. We're looking at which players we can keep. We've already obviously extended contracts of quite a few, and we're looking to try and extend contracts of even more that we want to keep. And, I'm already planning for the next season of players that are in the house and which players we might look to add next season. So like I said, I'm always looking ahead. You can't just ever stand still in football. I don't think if you stand still, you'll end up going backwards. So we're always looking to improve the squad, and I feel the squad's in a really good place at the moment.
We'd love to talk to you about next season, because we're excited about next season. Never mind this. Just a quick word is how involved is Tommy in terms of telling you what players he wants? Is he, I'm sure he trusts you. I mean, he's with you. Does he give you a sort of template, or is he really? What have you seen, Jamie?
We're all pretty in agreement of when we need a position. You know what I mean? It's pretty glaringly obvious, I think, sometimes in terms of injuries, or say we're conceding too many goals in a certain position, or we're not scoring enough goals. Well, that's not been the case with us, but you know what I mean? But we're all, the staff's always in agreement of when we need to improve. So the staff would say, like, look, we want to improve in the, I'm just talking randomly, a central midfield position. And I'll sort of have I'll then go and sort of like look at our which players we've looked at, which players I think are attainable, and I'll present the manager with, say, maybe 5 or 6 permanent options, 5 or 6 loan options, and players that different like possibilities of whether we can get them out or whatever. And but I know the profile that Tommy wants for every position. So if he tells me he wants this, I know what type of player he wants, because I know the way the team plays. I know, and that doesn't change. So if he tells me he wants a central midfield player, I know what sort of player he's after. They need to be good on the ball. They need to be mobile. They need to. There's certain KPIs that we look for in every position. So, but yeah, at the end of the day, I present him with players. I'll tell him which I think is the best option, in my opinion. And yeah, we a lot of the time, Tommy will know most of the players. If there's players that he doesn't know, I'll obviously show him like report of what I've done or somebody else has done, or I can show him clips on Y Scout and things like that. So yeah, we're fairly aligned with it all. Do you know what I mean? There's never any disagreement about if somebody's coming in the building. We're all we're all on the same page.
Thank you. That's really insightful that you use KPIs, because you know that's a business model whereby in recruiting a business it's the same. You know, so that's really fascinating for us as fans to know that actually a player coming into Shots has been assessed under some pretty tough guidelines.
Sure. We've got really big recruitment processes what we look through, like it filters down, and we also have really thorough looks at character, because they got to fit into the group, because you know, Tommy the way he works, he's very demanding of his players, and they need to be able to fit into the group that we have. We've got a really good group, so we don't want anybody coming in which is going to disrupt things, or, you know, not fit in with what we've got going on. So we do a lot of thorough checks and speak to people, and you know, it's not just guesses, and we're just having there's very thorough research has gone on.
Yeah, it's interesting you say character there, Jamie, because Dad, I know you and we spoke before we started recording, and that's something that you're always wanting to know about, and you'll probably put it to Jamie now, that actually that balance between ability and character. I mean, I'm putting words in your mouth, but that's something that you always mentioned to me.
Yeah, I mean, I've supported the Shots for a lot of times, Jamie. You can probably see, you know, I'm an old geezer, but I've been around since the 70s, and it's really interesting that character matters, doesn't it? In terms of they could be a brilliant footballer, but you can sometimes tell, not so much recently, but a player their heart isn't really in it, because maybe, you know, they're just not happy, or the money's not right, or whatever. But tell us about character, because that's hard. A KPI is about efficiency. Character is a bit more difficult, you know, to sort of get your thing. Tell us a bit about that.
Well, I think a lot of the time, a lot of players can get a bad reputation, and I think it's just built off nothing really. Like a couple of the players that we brought in, we were told that, you know, don't go near them, they're this and that, and Tommy's has known them personally, and they're not like that. You know what I mean? They've been misprofiled in terms of what I mean. And there's people said this player's got a bad attitude. This player's isn't you know, he's a bad egg. And we've got no bad eggs. Everyone at our club is good. The lads really do care. Win, lose or draw, you know, they're really on board with what we're doing, and it hurts them when we lose, and when we win, they're passionate. So we speak to a lot of people, and you know, when we're green lighting a signing, Tommy's obviously got a really big network contact, so he can speak to people about what they give before we sign it off. Do you know what I mean? So, but if someone's not on board with what we're doing, no matter who it is, the gaffer's all for, you know, they can go. So it doesn't matter who it is. Everybody's got to be on the same sheet, because the main way to success is everybody's got to be aligned. If one person's pulling in the other direction, it all manages to sink away. So I think we've sort of seen that lately, that, you know, if someone's not on board, they'll leave the building. So Tommy's really big on that. You know, is everybody's got to be on board with what he's doing, and what the staff are doing, and I'm, you know, and we believe that there's enough ability and talent in the building that if that's the case, then we'll win a lot of football games. So,
I think comes to mind one person that definitely ticks both those boxes for skill and character is Josh Stokes. And I know you've already mentioned you're surprised that you've managed to land Josh Stokes, and then the fact that he's gone within 6 months, which obviously must be mixed emotions for you, but you must be so proud, I'm assuming, in the fact that you've taken him from this level, brought him here, and now he's gone on so quickly. Obviously you've played a big part in getting the exposure, the trust, the friendship. So, you must be a little bit disappointed because he's going to go, but also that's great for your CV and great for him.
Yeah, I am really proud. I'm really proud for Josh, because he's a really, really top lad. Honestly, I can't speak highly enough of Josh, and he deserves it. He really, really deserves it. And I'm really confident that if he gets the opportunity, he'll take it at that level. I really believe that. And we do the. I've always felt he was the right character, and we had to just, you know, get his agents are really good. We get on well with his agents, and they were really on board with the pathway that we were looking to give him. And like I said, I wasn't surprised in terms of that he was going to do well, but I was a bit, you know, I don't think anyone would have called that he'd have had 16 goals and whatever it is, 6 or 7 assists by the time we've got now. I think that it's been an outrageous return, honestly. And I think he's been so really good. And even since he's got his move, his performance levels have not dropped one bit, and they won't. I don't think they will. He's just not that lad. He told me that when he got the move, if anything, I'm more driven now because I feel like I owe something to the Shots fans. So, Josh is a really good kid. And he deserves the move. And like I said, was I disappointed he went? Probably not, because we got him back for the season. So it worked for all parties. I mean, we were never gonna let him go if he didn't come back, because as Tommy said that in his interviews, we didn't want to lose anyone this window. It was the main prerogative was to keep what we had. Josh was a key part of that, and if somebody come in and offered good money that was right for us, right for Josh, and he comes back, then we were happy to talk, and that was the right deal in the end. I think Bristol City's a really good move for him. I think they're really big on giving pathways to young players, and I think there'll be future kicks down the line for the club if Josh does well. So everyone should wish him well, and it's just a really good example of how we want to work as a club. I think we want to take chances on players in non-league, give them the opportunity and sell them on if they do well. That's the way that football at this level, I think, can be run. It happens at league football. There's clubs that do it, like Peterborough's do it really well, Brentford do it really well at a higher level, and we want to take our own spin on it and and try and do it really, because I think there's so much talent at step 3, step 4, step 2. I watch loads of games, and we've got loads of software things that we've paid into that we can identify the best talents. And once we've identified them, I'll go and send out people and myself to go and watch them. So the fact we've done Josh, the work doesn't stop there. I'm trying to, if anything, I'm more determined not to let anything else slip under the radar because of how well he's done, because I know there's people out there. So we're working on the next ones all the time, and I think the fact we've done one is not going to make us stop. We're going to, if anything, it makes us even more ready to try and find the next one, really. So
go and get the next Josh Stokes. Don't know why you're sitting here with us.
It's not going to be easy to get somebody as good as him, by the way.
They're not going to just discover themselves.
Why are you talking to us, Jamie? Why are you talking to us? You should be out there. Yeah.
Yeah, I was thinking, I mean, it's just so bittersweet, Dad, isn't it, for fans to think, as Jamie's just said, this is the business, it's the name of the game. We're trying to get players higher. We're not that final destination for a lot of players, just naturally. So it's amazing when we get a Josh Stokes or we get a Tolaj or we get whoever it is. But there also needs to be that kind of wider view lens, doesn't there, that we can't get too high or too low. And actually, it's just great for Josh and the club that we've been part of his story. But it's naturally frustrating, isn't it, when you're a National League side and as soon as someone's great, they're going to get pinched. It's just life, isn't it, where we are?
Yeah.
I was going to say, by the way, Josh didn't get pinched in terms of, I know the terminology you used, but we got a really good deal for the club for Josh, and it was really like the club have done really well out of the deal. And also, we want to be that final destination as well. We want players to come on the journey with us, and ultimately, if the end goal is to try and reach the EFL with these players. But I think Josh was an exceptional case where he just surpassed our means a lot quicker than we thought, and you can't stand in somebody's way if something like that comes in. But for example, you said like Lorent, we kept hold of Lorent. We undoubtedly there's people interested in him because he's doing well, but Lorent wanted to stay. Lorent wanted to finish the season strong. He's been outstanding the last month, 2 months, and he's been great all season. But I think he's really, really hit his stride lately, and I think he's been unplayable the last month or so. And he's wants to be on board. Tommy said we weren't going to lose them too, or any other people. They want to finish the season with us, and they want to make a mark at the Shots and not just be that team which had a good 6 months. We want to try and be that team that can defy expectations even more. So because I know a lot of people at the start of the season from the outside had us tipped to be relegated. So
Yes. Yeah. We remember that, Jamie, back in June, definitely.
So do we.
Yeah. Not a nice place to be. Jamie, can we make an assumption? Let's assume we make the playoffs this year, which I think personally, we definitely can do. I know lots of ifs and buts, but if we did, if we assume that we made the playoffs, what do you think Tommy and yourself and the team would identify as our need for League Two? I know that's all make believe, but what do you think we need for League Two? And if we didn't make the playoffs, what sort of thinking would there be for next year in the National League?
Yeah, so like I said, I'm not going to make any bold predictions of where we're going to finish. I think the squad we've got, I think they're capable of, as they've seen, mixing with the big boys. Really, I don't think there's anyone on our day that we can't compete with. So I think there's definitely more to come in the last 15 games as well. I think we're on a really upwards trajectory, and I think. We got to take it game by game. We don't want to get carried away, but I really believe we've got a real good chance of doing something good. So to answer your question, I think it's a tricky one because I don't think there's a massive gap between the top ends of the National League and League Two, because we've proved it in the FA Cup in a one-off game. We beat Swindon emphatically, and we beat Stockport, who are the runaway team at the moment, away, and we competed really well at home. And I really believe that there's a lot, probably 10 teams, or if the top 10 in this league, I think if they went into the League Two, a lot of them would stay up. I think that it's really the National League this year is unbelievably competitive. I think, and there's so many top sides that all the teams in the playoffs, 8th, 9th, 10th, they're really good teams. So I think I wouldn't tell you now that we want to rip things up and bring so many different players. And I think we got a really good core group that if we could keep the core, 8, 9, 10, 11 players together, obviously we might lose a couple of our superstars, but that's football. And we'd obviously need to try and replace some of the goals, but that's normal, if we lose some of our goals. But I'm confident we can do that. I think we can replace what we've got. And I just think we just need to keep adding competition for places, keep strengthening the group. I don't think there needs to be wholesale changes whether we hit our expectations or we don't. I think we're the club's in a good place, and we're in a far better place than when we took over, and I think we're only going to improve. I think that, as I said, the chairman's been brilliant. Everything we've asked for, we've been given. And we've had a pretty bad luck with some injuries as well, in terms of we had Christian, who we thought would be Magoma, who we thought would be really important to us. He was going to be a key player. And, he got injured 15 minutes into his debut, which was just, we were chasing him for a long, long time as well. So when we got him, we were really pleased. And so, that was a blow. And, we've had Aaron Jones has had a couple of injuries. Stu O'Keefe's had some injuries. We've had some big ones to key players. And, like I said, I don't think, whether we hit where we want to be or we don't, I don't think there needs to be massive change. If anything, we want to keep what we've got rather than let it go. We want to keep what we've got and keep building, keep adding. And who knows?
Who knows? Yeah. And you've already alluded to this, but I guess you're planning for next year anyway, in a sort of general way. Is that right? Yeah,
for sure. We started the planning months ago, to be honest. Just in terms of sat down with Tommy, with the chairman Shahid, sat down with Terry, and outlined our current squad plan of what it is at the moment, and worked out, I put together everybody who's under contract for what year, what wages they're on, and just tried to work out which players we'd like to start in talks with to extend for next season, who's obviously key figures in the team, and which players we want to build around for next year. And we've obviously tied a few of them down. We've got some key players tied down for next season. Obviously, it come out in the press the other day, Lorent's tied down for next year. That was part of the deal we did in the summer. So we were always at ease with Lorent. He's done amazingly well, but we're never going to leave the club to get taken the mick out of in terms of transfer fees or anything like that. If somebody wants to buy one of our players, they got to pay up, and that's because we don't leave the club short-handed with the contracts or anything like that. So. Planning started. Obviously we're really focused on the here and now, but you've got to have your eye on next season and who you want and who you don't, who you think might not be here in terms of going ahead or. So it's I'm looking at players constantly at the moment. I'm probably at games every Tuesday, Saturday, so probably 3 or 4 games a week, and I got other people out at games and just trying to identify players in line now for the summer, because I think we've got a really competitive squad for now. I'm looking forward to the end for what we can bring next season now.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, Jamie, I reckon there are many Shots fans. If we did a little poll, that they'd say, "Yeah, I'd love to get where Jamie is. I'd love to have a shot at doing recruitment for the club I love." But obviously, just like listening to you this last half an hour, there must have been an element of pressure as well, because obviously you say, you put your neck on the line for this player. You're based on how successful each person is that comes in, and obviously those stats will add up. So, are you able to enjoy signing a player and seeing them play, or are you terrified thinking, if this guy gets injured or he's rubbish, this is going to come back on my performance review? Or are you quite good at being relaxed?
Yeah, I've sort of I don't know, my dad and my friends probably tell you differently, but I've sort of tried to temper my highs and lows, because when I was younger and I was in the game at Bristol Rovers, at my hometown club, I got really emotional high when we won, and then when we lost, I felt like rock bottom, and there was no middle ground in terms of the pressures of the game. In terms of, I felt it a lot, and it impacted my life a lot in terms of how my general mood was and things. But don't get me wrong, when we lose, it hurts, and I'm trying to think how we could do it better in terms of what all the time. And when we win, I'm over the moon, because I'm really passionate about what I do. I put a lot of time and effort into all my work. I'm really passionate about it, football's an emotional game. I think you've got to enjoy it when you win. Like the big wins we've had at big clubs, these sort of days, I might not ever get again. So I enjoy it, but I think you've just got to enjoy it in the moment, and then go again on Monday, and then keep having that mentality. But like with the signings, I think you can't get too caught up on if someone doesn't do well or if somebody does do well. I don't think I'm a genius. That's you're going to have hits, you're going to have misses. You've just got to try and get more hits than misses. I think really no one's ever going to get everything right. It's impossible, really. So I just think you've just got to try and get more right than wrong, and you won't be doing too bad, really. But like you got to take everything with a pinch of salt. Fans are going to be disappointed with certain things, and they're going to be pleased with other things. That's a fan. I've been a fan, and football fans care a lot about their club. So and we all really care about our time at Aldershot. We're really putting a lot of effort and time, and we're trying to do our best for everyone. Yeah.
Dad, we just need Jamie to go and get us the new Josh Stokes now, don't we? That's his next assignment.
Yeah, no pressure, Jamie. We're not holding you to that, but I think I'd just like to say, Jamie, I know Liam feels the same. You've along with Tommy and the rest of the team, you've changed the atmosphere and the culture so obviously that you've done a fantastic job. So thank you. I don't know how often people thank you, but we genuinely want to thank you.
I think Tommy. I just want to say, I don't want to take. Tommy's done an amazing job, and he's he's the main man behind it all, and he's a brilliant manager and a brilliant guy, and he connects the fans with the team and with the staff, and I think I just think he's done really well, and he's like I said, long may it continue. I think we're far from done, to be honest. I think we just, like, in terms of we've got a lot more that we want to achieve here, and I just think everybody, as Tommy said in his press the other day, I think you've just got to enjoy the ride. I think there's going to be bumps. Like we were anticipating that there was going to be a rocky spell, and we knew it was going to come. It's impossible to have a whole season where you're just pretty consistent the whole way through, unless you're like Chesterfield. But so it was just we're really pleased with how we bounced back. Like we had the Bishop Stortford, we had the Kidderminster, which were obviously really low. There was a lot of disappointment at the time, but since then we've put in 4 really good performances, and I think Tommy's right. The way we play, we never try and settle for a draw. We want to try and win games. So there's going to be highs, there's going to be lows. I think you've just got to just enjoy it, really. It's going to be. There's been a lot of good times, and there's going to be some bad times. And I think just get behind the lads. They're going to give you a lot more good times than bad, I think.
Yeah, that's a great way. Yeah, Great way to sum it up. We do just appreciate you, Jamie, being, open, transparent. I think I've encouraged a lot of fans actually to just hear how passionate you are, how you work so well with Tommy, and just to chat through your process. I think even for us, that's just really helpful as a fan to see. So yeah, thanks for your time, for coming on, all the good work you're doing. And yeah, you just need to finish the season now. Not very difficult.
No, yeah. Thanks for having me on. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to the last 15 games, and let's see what happens. I think whatever happens, it'll be a really enjoyable ride, and let's hope that we can hit our goals.